Welcome, final expense agents and brokers, to the most popular audio training and podcast in the industry, The Lead Jerk Show, where we cut through the red tape and give you only the best in expert interviews. So strap in and grab a cold beverage and get ready to learn and earn. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce you to the one and only Matt Lowery, also known as The Lead Jerk.
Alrighty guys, we got Ben Boman on here with finalexpenseservices.com. It's going to be a great interview. We get down and pretty much talk specifics about how Ben got started and what he does on a regular basis to support his agents and his group. So again, if you guys need high quality telemarketing final expense leads, visit us at www.theleadjerk.com. Again, www.theleadjerk.com. Now on with the interview.
All right, everybody. We are here today with Ben Boman, and Ben reigns from the great state of Mississippi. Mississippi. There you go. He is with finalexpenseservices.com. Again, finalexpenseservices.com. And Ben, I want to thank you for spending some time here with us this afternoon. I'm sure, as a lot of the other guys out there know, you have busy days, probably 7 days, 8 days a week sometimes. And just wanted to see if we could maybe, get a little information from you in the beginning, maybe a little intro. Again, verify your website, maybe give out your phone number, email address, and kind of maybe a summary of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and then maybe how you kind of got into this final expense business.
Definitely. I definitely appreciate you putting these things together. I believe that for new agents and experienced agents, it's definitely a good thing to hear from other people, hear what they're doing, how they're doing it. In this business, it's all about learning every day. But again, I'm with, the website is finalexpenseservices.com, and my contact number is definitely on that website, but anybody that wants to write it down is 601-938-7663, and you can also reach me at ben@finalexpenseservices.com if you need to email me. But definitely, as far as, getting in this business, everybody has those weird off-the-wall stories for the most part. There's a few people that their family did it their whole life, and that's how they're in it. That was different for me. What had happened with me, my family's always been in the roofing business, and that's how I was raised up. All my brothers was raised up. I'm the youngest of 8 kids. And, one day at work, we was talking about things, when you're out there in the hot sun and you're roofing, you just talk about off-the-wall stuff. And we was talking about things that scared you. And my thing back then was snakes. I was always, scared of snakes, this, that, and the other. Well, we talked about that for a while, and it was just ironic because at lunch break, we go in a store, and on the bulletin board, there was somebody right down the road selling a ball python snake. Brother Jay, he kept, picking on me, said, Friday, come payday, you ought to buy that snake. Well, all week, that was kind of the running joke, and everybody was saying I wouldn't do it. So Friday, I did it just to prove them wrong. Well, the guy I got it from, his name was Josh. I had to start talking to him from time to time on how to take care of the snake and all that. We become, buddies and started talking about what I do for a living and what he does. Well, he was in final expense insurance like we are. And he just told me one day out of the blue, I was like, man, it's hot out here on these roofs. How do you get in that? And he said, you go to Ridgeland, Mississippi, you take a 3-day course Monday through Wednesday, and you take a test on Friday. That's it. And that's all he said. I never brought it up again. I got home, started thinking about it. I Googled, insurance test in Ridgeland, Mississippi, and I found one, and it was Monday through Wednesday with a test on Friday, so I figured that was it. Well, I went the next week, took the class, passed the test on Friday, and at like 3:30 I got confirmation that I passed, and on my way home I called him. And I said, man, I passed that test, so now what do I do? And he couldn't believe it. He was like, what test? And he was like, man, we only talked about that one time. You really went and did it? I said, yeah, it's done. And that was, how I got started in the business. I mean, I passed the test, and I still didn't know what whole life was or term life. I didn't have a clue. You know, all I knew about how, tear off shingles, pop lines, and nail shingles on. And so really, I got in the business as a joke, and it's one of the best decisions I've ever made, looking back.
So what like on, as far as getting into it, how did you, once you got into it, can you take us down that path, maybe how you got to where you're at now? Like, I know there's different, you went through different processes and things you learned along the way, and kind of how you kind of ended up where you are now.
Exactly. Well, I will tell you this. A lot of people will tell you about failing their way into something. You fell out and then you find something else. My story is very weird because it's kind of like succeeding out. And why I say that is, my buddy, he was, back then, Josh and his brother and his daddy, they was a family long insurance company. They've been in insurance, for generations. And he's the guy that got me in it. Well, whenever I asked him, I said, I passed the test. What do I do now? And he said, well, I'm going to get my manager to call you. Well, the guy called, and he wanted me to come by and talk to him. So I went by, and he was like, man, you just went and took the test, this, that, and the other. So he sent me the next week out with Josh, the guy that sold me the snake and got me in it, sent me out with his brother. And I went out with him in Nashville, Tennessee, and watched him work all week, 4 days. He wrote $8,600. I couldn't believe it. It was just insane to me. And so then the next week I go to the office, and they hand me 50 leads and say, here. And I went out in the field. Well, I rocked and rolled, was the number one seller each week, and it wasn't but like 6 or 7 of us that worked for this little group. And we would all meet at the office on Monday. We'd get our leads. You didn't know where you was going. Your leads might be Savannah, Georgia. They might be Nashville, Tennessee, Tyler, Texas. You didn't know till you got there. But the thing was, we showed up at the office on Monday with our bags packed in the car. We got our leads. We wrote a check for them. He had a shelf with all kind of apps and brochures. We'd restock. We'd go out. Well, I did that for about, I would say, 9 or 10 months, rocking and rolling, no problems, making a ton of money. And we show up one Monday. Also on Monday when you showed up, you would fax your previous week's apps. You'd fax them all that day. We would go scrub our apps and then switch them with another agent, and they would look over them and stuff like that. And we show up on Monday, and I'm finna fax my apps, and he's like, you don't need to fax those apps. He didn't hit his production numbers to be an IMO, so we lost all of our contracts. So, I'm trying to fax apps, and I'm unemployed. And so I didn't know what to do, so I looked up to them that got me in the business. They've been in it a while, and they said, look, meet us here tomorrow. We're going to go to Parker & Associates, which is out of Meridian, Mississippi, where I'm at. So we went there. I got signed up there, and I got like a 5 or 10 point bump on my contract. I thought I was the man. And I signed up there, started working, rocking and rolling, no problem. And pretty much the same exact thing. The first place I was with, there was a spin-off of Parker, so they had the same model. So at Parker, you would go on Monday and write a check for your leads, get new apps and all that. Well, after I was with Parker for a while, I showed up on a Monday. I couldn't fax my apps because they had did their bankruptcy or whatever they want to call it, and they had changed their name to One Life.
Right.
So then they become One Life. Well, we had to wait out 6 months. We couldn't work there. We couldn't send in apps for 6 months till our contracts could be moved to One Life. So here I was again. I was making money at Parker. I have several printouts being in the top 10, and now I'm out of business again.
So what in the hell did you do?
Well, from there, I relied on my buddies again, and they went and had an interview with a debit company where you go out and you collect money, but you also sell insurance. It's more of a salary job instead of commission. And so I followed them, and I went there, and it was definitely a good decision. I got a lot extra training there. I made a lot of money, led the company. But in my time there, that's whenever I really started learning insurance. The thing is, whenever I left the first place, when he went out, I didn't even know about Parker. And then when I was at Parker, only other insurance companies I knew of was like State Farm or stuff you see on TV, Geico. I didn't know how to find an IMO or things like that. And while I was at the debit company and doing real well, I was making a whole lot of sales, but I wasn't getting commission. I was getting salary. And I just kept thinking, I was like, man, if I could find something like I was doing, but that wouldn't go out of business, I would be set, So I started doing research, and that's whenever I'd found, the information on being independent, getting higher contracts, and, pretty much being in charge of your leads and things like that. And that's pretty much how I got to where I was today. So it's one of those things that, like I said, it was kind of succeeding. I mean, a lot of times you start doing bad and you can expect it coming, but with me, I didn't. I mean, it was rocking and rolling and making good money, and then you just walk in and it's like, boom, everything changed. And, it's part of the ups and downs of this business. But I bring that up because, that's one of the first things I try to help agents with is find the right home, find the right place to be. Do your research because, I've made the mistakes. I mean, I was so green that I didn't know, and that's why I don't fault agents when they go to a bad organization because I didn't know any better. I just heard from one of my buddies and I went,
Okay. So, Ben, what do you think? Obviously, you worked through that and you learned everything at this point. And what's been your biggest hurdle, do you think, to overcome being in final expense specifically, I guess?
Yeah. Well, one of the main hurdles, like we just discussed, is, going through that roller coaster, of pretty much getting fired without getting fired, walk in and lose your job. That was the biggest hurdle. The other hurdle that I would say was very strong once I got rocking and rolling is, the up and down of chargebacks, of course. You have a big week and then you get 3 cancellations. The main hurdle I think everyone would have is their own mindset. If you walk out and you got a good attitude and a good mindset, it's going to be a good day. But when you get a bad call in the morning or this, that, and the other to where it puts you in a bad mood, your clients can see that. If I don't get a lot of sleep, you can see that just hanging out around me, because I'm tired.
Right.
It's the same thing in the house. If you're in a bad mood, you're not going to do a good job selling. And that's one of the main things is, even if you got 10 appointments that day and the first 7 no-show you, the thing I think about every day is all it takes is one house. I mean, I've wrote $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in a house before, so I just keep thinking, all it is one house. Those other ones didn't matter. I'm getting those out of the way. One house changes this around, so that's definitely a big hurdle. The other major hurdle is, I would say a lot of people, you have to find your weakness and you have to figure out how to overcome it. My weakness was, I really couldn't work around the house. I mean, now, I got kids and a wife and things like that. I mean, if I'm right here in my backyard, I get no-showed, I'm not going to sit in the car and do paperwork, make phone calls I need to make. I'm going to run home, see my babies for a little while, and then guess what? I'm like, you know what? My next appointment's in an hour. He's 54. He's single. He lives in an apartment. He ain't buying no insurance. There ain't no sense in me going there and putting my shirt, tucking it back in. There's no sense in me going to see. So I had to overcome that hurdle by traveling. You very well know. You've seen me travel. You've been there with me. I had to overcome it by traveling because, the thing is, I just go sit in a motel by myself, bored. Or, I got 35 minutes to my next appointment. Let me call these 2 people back that wanted me to check back with them and this, that, and the other. So I find myself working more. Now, I'm not saying that so agents all start traveling. I'm just saying whatever your weakness is, each person's going to be different. You have to find a way to overcome it, and do whatever it takes if you want to be in this business. And that's the mindset that makes you successful is it didn't matter. People all the time tell me, well, when you're driving 4 hours away to go work, there's another agent driving 4 hours your direction to go work. I understand that. I'm not saying I can't sell insurance here. I'm just saying I won't work as hard here. So in this job, you have to work hard for the first year or 2 to get your business built up. Whatever it takes you to build it, you have to do it. If you're not willing to do that, whatever it is, then you're probably not going to make it. So you have to be willing to step to the plate and do it, no matter what.
Fair enough. Good tough love there, no doubt. It's true. As far as marketing methods, Ben, what do you recommend for agents, as far as, what they start out with, what they may be going to evolve to, what's something good, reliable, standard that's just been proven? What do you find is working best for you?
All right, well, I will tell you this. if you called me today and you wanted to go to work, you was brand new, you know, you had a license and all that, and you have $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 set aside for this, to do this, I would definitely tell you 100% direct mail from the get-go. Now, I'll explain, you know, even if you get on direct mail, it's 4 or 5 weeks before you get it. Some people are ready to work in. You know, well, there's options for that I'll get to. But the guy that's got the money, he needs to start his direct mail then. He don't need a piddle. He don't need to wait. Nothing. You need to get on direct mail right then. All right, an agent called me, and he wants to go to work, and he don't really have a lot of money. He got, you know, man, I might could throw $1,000 at this right now, but if I can make some money, I can put it back in at whatever. You know, that's a different scenario. If that agent has the right, you know, personality and the right work ethic that I really feel like he could make it, then there is a game plan. But the difference is, I talked to an agent today that I hired about 5 weeks ago, and he had no money. Okay, well, he had, you know, enough money to get by, but not enough money for direct mail. I talked to him today because he's submitting his direct mail order form because he followed a system that I gave him, and in 5 weeks he made $10,000, and he's got the money to be on direct mail now. Why I say that is, you'll hear people say, well, if you ain't got money for direct mail, buy teleleads and go out there and start making money. That's great. That is the truth. That's what you need to do. But if you don't have somebody helping you with a game plan and a system and mapping it out for you, what's going to happen is you're going to buy teleleads, you're going to make some money, you're going to pay your bills, you're going to buy more teleleads, you're going to go out and eat a nice steak dinner. Then the next week you're going to do the same. Then you're in a dilemma.
Yeah,
you can't get no more teleleads in that area, so you either have to pay for direct mail. Well, I don't have the money. All right. Well, you have to travel like I used to do. Well, I can't travel. I got kids. Okay, well, go to Walmart and be a door greeter. I mean, it's tough love, but why I say that is, if you don't have enough money for direct mail, which is the number one long-term campaign, you want to be in this business 10 years from now, I mean, you have to be on direct mail long-term. Teleleads, I believe, are a supplement, and why I say that is, if I knew I was going on vacation in 2 weeks, and I was getting 30 direct mail every week, well, I would be thinking, you know, man, you know, if I'm averaging $4,000 a week in profit, if I added, you know, some teleleads in there that, you know, the week before vacation, and I wrote 7,000, that extra $3,000, you know, and then I pay for leads, let's say I've made $2,500, that's going to pay for the whole vacation. So they're used for that, or a week your returns don't hit right, so you don't have a lot of direct mail. Get teleleads. And then also teleleads are used for getting to direct mail, you know. And it doesn't mean teleleads are bad. It's just, like you know, it's just the data. You know, you can't stay in that area long term, you know, so you wind up moving around.
That's right.
Yep,
and exactly right.
So why I say that is, you know, I mean, I know it's definitely tough love, but you have to be on direct mail eventually. So if you're willing to go out and work and willing to do teleleads, there's a lot of people that'll hire you and let you go out for 2 weeks on teleleads, make a few sales, and then fail. I'm not that organization. I try to hire people to where you're going to be here long term. So if you're going to order teleleads, you have to come up with a system as far as how much of your percentage of your sales are you going to put aside for direct mail. You know, and you have to be willing to do it. You have to have a tried and true game plan put in place. That way, after about 3 or 4 weeks of teleleads, you have enough money then to get on direct mail. You know, and then if you don't in 3 or 4 weeks, then, you know, if you're following the right presentation and doing what you're being taught by me and the people in my organization, you know, if you don't have enough money for direct mail at that time, it might not be the right job for you anyway, you know, because you might not be making the right amount of sales, you know, or not be coachable.
Yeah, I even say, you know, I don't know why I hate debt. I know you hate debt, you know. But I'm even willing to say that if a guy can, you know, start putting his direct mail, getting it in place on a credit card, because it's kind of a no-brainer. It's going to come in. You're going to make sales. If they want to go out earlier than that, go ahead and get the teleleads, like you said. But, you know, I'd even want to say, I mean, some of these guys don't even need to wait. You know, they can, if they've got a couple $1,000 to throw at direct mail and they get some leads in, man, they're gonna quadruple that usually.
Yeah. And now, one thing I will say, because I know a lot of new people will listen to this, from my perspective or your perspective, I know it's different. What I mean is, right now, if every dollar I had disappeared, everything disappeared, I wouldn't be working. I would be going out, cutting people's grass, picking up stuff, but I wouldn't be working to make money to pay the power bill. I would be working thinking, all right, if I can just get enough money to get one order of teleleads, I can turn that into $3,000. Then I can take that $3,000, pay the power bill, buy more teleleads, make another $3,000. But as a new agent, they don't really know their skill set. They don't know their averages. They don't know their close percentage. But if they have the right personality, the willingness to do it and the right work ethic, they just have to understand that it does work if you're willing to work it. And I don't care if you got to run up a credit card. If you're really going to work and you're going to do it, I don't care if you got to take your guns or your boat or your wife to the pawn shop and try to pawn it and get money for leads. Whatever you got to do, this system, if you work it the right way, it works. And the thing is, I promise you, like I said, whenever I started, I knew nothing about insurance. I can talk to anybody. I'm not scared to talk to people. I had the right personality. And I trained with Jeremy for 4 days, actual training in Nashville, Tennessee, wrote $8,600. By the last day on Friday, he actually had me presenting. Why I say that is a method that you can track and trace and duplicate. It's really easy. If you have the personality, what to say in the house and trying to, overcome the objections, it's very simple. So this is not really a hard business, as far as knowing what to say or how to make the sales. It's completely a numbers game. You see enough people, you'll make enough sales. So a new agent starting out, you just got to buckle down no matter what it takes and get some leads, follow the system, and, you'll see the deposits coming in. You'll start making money, and, worst case scenario, if you do fail out, you'll still make enough to return your investment back. One $1,200 sale, that goes a long way on lead orders, when you're ordering teleleads. It's not like, we're asking you to get out there and invest, $100,000. But also, like I said, with the game plan and the system with teleleads, it's also the same with direct mail. You got to look at this business as owning a store. And me and you, Matt, we go in business. We open a store in a good location. We spend $100,000 and stock it. And the first day we're open, 90% of our shelves are sold out. And we made a killing in that one day. That's great. But you have to have the mentality to know. But if we don't use some of that money to restock those shelves, we'll never have another day like that ever. We'll never, ever sell that much again because we don't have that much on the shelf. So this business has to be ran that way. Yes, it's good to make that good money and see that $1,800 commission that day and $1,700 the next day, but all of that's not yours. Some of that has to go back into the business to keep making that amount of money.
Yeah, I tell people too. You got to look at leads. No matter what kind you are, they're an investment. They're not an expense. Yeah, on paper they're an expense, but it's an investment. Without them, you're kind of dead in the water. There's other ways to generate business, but I'm talking about specifically if you're going to work at final expense market. Leads are the way to usually go.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way. Now, I will say, the number one lead to me is a referral, working your own book. You know me well enough to know how much I work my book, using my CRM and all that. I work my book really, really hard. But you don't hear me talk about that because new agents don't have a book to work.
Right.
That's something that you need to be with the right upline to where they're training you to do that for in 3 years when you got a huge book. You can kind of kick back your leads a little bit and still make very good money. And after 10 years in this business, you might not need leads anymore. But in the beginning, leads are required. That's mandatory to make it. And the only way I can really explain it, because I know a lot of new people are going to listen to this, I see it all over Facebook, and I know a lot of you that's on Facebook see it too. All of this pyramid scheme, like not really Avon, like that new Plunder and It Works, wraps and stuff, all that kind of stuff. That does not mean the product's bad at all. The product can be great. But here's what happens. They hire somebody to sell it. what they do is they go to their mom and their grandma and their sister and their aunt and their uncle and this and that and the other, and they sell, you know, and they love it, and then they put on there how they made $300 that week, and they're all pumped about it. Well, guess what? In about a week, they wake up, and they're like, all right, I done hit all them people up. Wait, I can call my sister-in-law. Let me try her. Oh, well, she ain't interested. They run out of people. So guess what? Then they're out of business. That's why it don't work. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to reach out and find people. That's what leads do. Yes, I can get you a contract tomorrow. You go write your mom, your dad, your grandma, your brother, your cousin, your neighbor, and you'll make a lot of money that week. It'll be a very good week. But like I said, we're restocking the shelves. It's just that's gonna be the biggest week you ever had, and one of the only weeks you ever had. Whereas a lead system, it gets you that kind of money every week. Because now you're writing everybody's grandmother and mother and sister and brother and daughter. You're writing everybody's, not just your family's. You're writing the people that send the card in. You get to meet a whole lot more people, you know. And so, I mean, it has to be treated as a business. I mean, that's one of the hardest obstacles. That was one of my hardest obstacles in the beginning as well. I mean, I won't lie. Whenever I was making it with the beginning companies before they shut down or changed their name, I mean, I was making it and making a killing. You know, on 60-point contract, still making a killing, you know, writing 5, 6, 7,000 every week. But back then, I was looking at it as, man, this is fun and this is great and this is easy. And, I mean, I would spend it, you know. So, I mean, a week hit with chargebacks, it was slow. I mean, it hurt. You know, I had to go out and write $3,000 to cover it because I spent everything the week before. You know? So finally, I, you know, and that's why I have that cheat sheet that I sent out on, you know, setting up the business. You know, then I got to the point where I set it up to where, you know, of course, all your deposits from the companies go into a certain account. I had to get to the point to where my business pays me a check every Friday. This Friday, I can tell you, I'm not going to tell you, but I can tell you the exact amount of money my business is going to pay me. That's my salary. That's how much money I'm going to make this Friday, no matter what. It don't matter if I'm on vacation. It don't matter if I write $50,000 this week. I'm going to make X number of dollars on Friday. Because I treat it like a business now. And I'm the owner, the CEO, the president. So guess what? If I decide I deserve a bonus, I don't have to go to a board of, you know, advisors and get approval. I just give myself a bonus. But the good thing about that is when you have good weeks, it's not really that good because you make $10,000 and you only pay yourself $1,000. But those weeks that you're off for 2 weeks because you're sick, it doesn't matter because you're still making $1,000.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you got to have the money management, you know, in this business because, like we both know, there's ebbs and flows. Excuse me. There's ups and downs, and that's something too. I think people kind of. I mean, it took me a little while to get my head wrapped around that psychologically, you know, that emotional up and down, and then you kind of just have to end up just, you know, realizing that that's just the way it is, and just either you're going to go with it or you're not.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, for new people listening to this call, you know, you might think, well, man, these two guys talking, I mean, they got it made. Of course, they'll talk about how easy it is. Just a few months back, where did we work, Matt, right before Knoxville? Was it Chattanooga?
I think it was either Chattanooga or Nashville, one of the two.
Yeah, we worked one of the two and killed it. Remember, I mean, we both had a great week, made plenty of money.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Then we go the next week to Knoxville, got our teeth kicked in. I'm talking about completely kicked in. So I say that for new people listening because it happens to everybody. I mean, we had a killer week, and we show up. I even put a post on Facebook talking about how bad I killed it, you know, in Chattanooga or wherever, and was talking about how bad I was fixing to kill it in Knoxville. And I go and just, I mean, literally get my teeth kicked completely in. You know, it happens to all of us. But
it was rough, so.
Yeah, but having the right mindset and the right money management, it didn't bankrupt either one of us. We was able to go out the next week and the next, and we're still here today. You know, so for new agents, I mean, you have to learn that. I mean, if you get a $3,800 deposit, that $3,800 ain't yours. The majority of that should be your business's.
Definitely agree with that. Watch your pennies. Hey, Ben, let me ask you this. This is all, I always say this is always subject to change, but everybody always likes to hear what, you know, who at this point, we're still in June 2015. Who is your favorite carrier or couple carriers, and why? As of right now, I always say, hey, subject to change because we know how things go. But like right now, who do you like? Who you like out there in the field?
I would say, my favorite two companies would definitely be Trinity, which some people listen on this call in your state, Trinity's called Family Benefit. So that sounds like two companies, but they're the same thing. So Trinity Family Benefit is one company. That would be at the top, and also Security National would be right beside them at the top, Security National Life. And then I would say definitely my third would have to be Transamerica. And I hate to say it, and I hate to like them, but Transamerica is one of those companies that you got to have them no matter how much you hate them. You pretty much got to have them, because some of the things that they cover and will accept. But I would say that those are definitely my top three. I write a lot of Mutual of Omaha for their children policies. I don't really write it for their final expense. But everybody has niche companies and things like that. But, definitely if every company closed their doors today but Trinity, Security National, and Transamerica, I'd be okay. And then as far as guarantee issue goes, I've always been a Vanis person. I mean, that was me. But now that they're shutting that product down, I mean, it's definitely Gerber, would be my go-to for guarantee issue.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, one of the main reasons, the main reason for Trinity and Security National is their ease. They're so easy to work with, get somebody on the phone, get answers. And then I really like their lead credit. Security National and Trinity have a lead credit program, so you're out there working hard, making commission, and you realize you got $1,200 in lead credits. I mean, that helps out with your lead bill. Like I said earlier about going on vacation, if you're on a fixed price direct mail program, you're going to be buying leads the week you're on vacation also. Well, it might be nice to use your lead credit that week. That way you're not paying out of pocket as much. So I mean, the lead credit comes in handy. Or, you're on a fixed price program in your area and you decide, you know what, I'm going to drop a 1,000-piece mailer to test it. Well, it's a lot better to test it using lead credit where they pay the full amount or either half of the price. That way, if you do get a really bad return, at least it didn't cost you as much money. It gives you money to test.
Well, speaking of the carriers, have you seen much persistency improvement with some of the ones? I think, both Trans and Trinity are using them. I use them whenever I can. Whenever I can. But the Social Security billing forms now that I think is kind of the way things are going to head to help with that persistency and the cementing down of, getting those EFTs before people spend them. Have you seen much going on with that as far as helping with persistency?
Yeah, Trinity, I mean, they're definitely on point with it. They've been having a glitch with the credit card thing, but they're getting that worked out. Security National did have a very bad flaw, and what was happening was, and it's still happening today, but they're actually fixing it. The first draft, they was actually drafting, on the 3rd or whenever the date was. They're drafting, really early in the morning. So they're getting the first draft, no problem. Well, they had it set up to where the second draft, they wasn't getting it as early. They might be getting it at 1 o'clock. Well, the money had already been spent. But they're fixing that to where every draft will be early in the morning. So the client gets their money at 12:01 a.m., and let's say the company, Security National, takes it out at 7 o'clock a.m. Well, that's great. They're not up and at the bank and getting their money out yet. So that's going to be a definite improvement of 100%. So, and Transamerica pretty much the same way. I can see with a lot more people getting on the Direct Express and a lot more people, that we write their own fixed income on a certain day, Social Security date. I can see persistency getting a whole lot better with that. And companies like Trinity and Security National, they listen to us. We had a blitz, a few weeks back, and Security National was there and room with us and listened to everything we brought up. And, they made some of the things we brought up in that meeting has already been changed. So they definitely listen and they'll change it. Companies like that, they'll make it a lot longer than the final expense, even though they're not as big as Transamerica. They'll make it just for the fact that, they listen to what the agents need. They don't do some kind of stupid survey and send it out to people that don't sell insurance. They listen to the people that's in the field actually doing it.
Thank goodness. Because we all know there's some that's exactly what they do. They wouldn't know how to sell their product if their life depended on it. But for the most part, a lot of them are pretty good, though. Most of them are pretty good. Well, Ben, as far as what you offer, agents that come to your group and look what you have to offer and stuff like that, what do you got as far as training, product, lead selection, stuff like that makes you a little different from other people, or maybe what you bring to the table that helps agents coming on board?
Definitely. The main thing is, as far as companies go, we have all of the major companies, but one of the things that I do, depending on the agent's state, whenever they're thinking about signing up with me, I go over it with them, and I help them come up with a core of, 3, 4, 5 carriers that they need, but I also explain to them why they need those carriers. And then, of course, as you know, I give every agent the cheat sheet. That way when they're in a house and they write Security National and they're brand new, they don't know if Security National has a phone interview. Well, you go to the cheat sheet, you go to Security National, and it'll say Security National does not have a phone interview. Or to say Trinity does have a phone interview, here's the number, 1-800, it has it listed out. So I help with carrier selection. I help with, learning how to write those carriers. Any carrier that the agent picks, I have sample apps for that carrier that I send out. I also have, a lot of our training calls are 45 minutes to an hour long. I have training calls for each carrier. So if you're going to write, say, Transamerica, I can send you a training call. You can sit down, put the earphones in, or put it on the radio. You can listen to it for an hour, and it's tips and tricks on how to write Transamerica. So I don't only just tell you, hey, write these 5 companies, good luck. I also give you tools and tips on those carriers and get you better organized for that. We also have the group text thing that we have, and that's very helpful for, like right now, my cell phone sitting in front of me, there's been 2 agents called me. Well, I'm doing this interview. I can't answer their questions, but the good thing about the group text, all of our top agents and our new agents are on it. If that agent's in a house and needs an answer right now, they can either type in the question and get 10 agents answering them in just a couple minutes, or they can just type in, say, in a house, call me, and put their phone number, and some of the top agents in the nation, are available on there that would call them up and say, hey, man, what you need? So it's more of a family atmosphere, if you will. We all talk, we all help each other. It's not, I got 1 million agents and all of them call me. I got 1 million agents and all of them call each other. I've had times where I've called an agent and like, oh, I'm just out in the field working with Joe Blow, and Joe Blow's my agent also. And here I am, I don't even know how they know each other, but from the group text, they started sending messages to each other, and they went out and trained with each other one day. And it's a very good thing to see, like agents helping agents, and they're not in each other's hierarchy. It's just they're on the same levels. They're just out helping each other. So that makes it for a very strong program. And other than that, as far as training, we have weekly calls. We have all kind of video and audio recordings we send. I have a ton on my website, Final Expense Services. They can go there and they get the password to the agent portal. It has all the sample apps, training calls from every week's on there. Then it has all kind of like pitch sheets, how to set up your binder, how to set up your business, how to do replacements. It has pretty much all the tools that you need. So while agents are waiting on their contracting, their writing numbers, I always tell them, go there and start reading, start learning, calling me with questions. So, the main thing is I don't try to set agents up where y'all can go out there and struggle and write a couple people and fail. That's bad for me. I try to set agents up where this is a business and this is a career. That starts with selective hiring. If I can tell on the phone you ain't going to go out and do anything, that's different. But if you're willing to go out and work, you just need help, that's what we're here for, to try to help you and get you going. And that way you're here for years to come. You know, I don't want you just here for a couple months and then leaving. And then the other thing is, you know, we offer very high contracts to where I don't really have to worry about an agent calling me and saying, hey, you know, this guy's giving me 40 points higher than you. I got to go to them. That's not going to happen. You know, so we have pretty much a complete package. There's a lot more organizations, you know, like us out there. But, I mean, in my opinion, I believe ours is very strong and one of the best. And, you know, but like I tell everybody, you know, I started in this business making mistakes because I didn't know any better. You know, to any agent researching, research everybody. You know, but don't believe everything you hear. You know, if they tell you, man, you're going to make one of the main things that I do and I've never done, and this call will be sent out to all my agents, so everybody I've ever hired will know, I have never told an agent how much money they're going to make. And anybody that tells you how much money you're going to make, run from them.
Right.
Have a clue.
They don't know.
Exactly. I can tell you how much agents make, some agents, and I can tell you that if you buy 20 leads and you close this percent, and your average premium is this much, I can tell you how much money that would be. But I can't tell you that your close percent is going to be that high or your average premium is going to be that high or you're willing to buy that many leads. I can run numbers for you and help you, but as far as how much you're going to make, can you make $100,000? You're daggone right. Can you be out of business in 3 months and only make $1,000? You sure can. But however much you make is up to you completely.
Good words to live by. Hey, why, you know, with other verticals out there being in insurance, I mean, you got, there's a whole lot. I personally like direct response marketing, so I prefer, you know, final expense and then, you know, meds up to an extent. But what, because that's pretty much the way you build a book, especially from the beginning usually. Why did you end up picking final expense? Was it like a lot of people, you just kind of fell into it, like you said, with your story, or I guess I should say, why did you stay with final expense?
Well, I mean, honestly, the reason I did is, you know, like I said, whenever I bought the snake, I mean, that's what he did, and he told me about it, and I tried it, and I made money. I mean, no one in my family did it. Everybody kind of looked down on me for doing it, like, you ain't going to make no money, insurance is a scam or whatever. But I got out there and I made money, and I made money the whole time. Now, the thing that almost made me get out was the constant changing of company. You know, they shutting down, and then I'm just, you know, left out there without a job. I'm job searching. You know, you go from making $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a week to unemployed. That's, you know, you do that a couple times, that sucks. But,
right.
You know, I always made money with final expense, and what I really liked was it was the seniors. You know, I'm just a country boy from Mississippi. I mean, when I'd show up at their house, if they was beside the house in the garden, I mean, I left my stuff in the car, and I went out there with them. And if they was, all right, yeah, we'll go inside and talk. They went to pick up a bucket of peas or bushel of peas. You know, I would grab stuff. I'd help them carry it. You know, just the senior market always, you know, the final expense is not only seniors, it's low income. So it's the good old hard workers, and that's what I was used to. So whenever I related with these people so much more. And, you know, throughout the years, I've talked to people, try to recruit me to go do this and that. But, you know, going to sitting in a lawyer's office with a suit on, trying to sell him a policy where I'm going to make $20,000 in a year, you know, it take me a year to get paid, that never seemed like something I wanted to do. You know, I mean, I know of a guy that makes way more money than me, and he sells about 4 to 6 policies a year. But my thing is, I would get very, very bored selling 4 to 6 policies a year. I want to sell 4 to 6 policies a week. You know, I mean, it's just the activity, sending the apps in, you know, it's really fun to me. I mean, I look at it as treasure hunting. Every house I go up to and knock on that door, it don't matter what the house looks like. It can be a rundown trailer. It could be a mansion. When I knock on that door and I go in, you never know what's behind the door, and you never know what you're going to make. I mean, I walked in some of the crappiest places you could ever walk in. And you walk in there and you walk out with $2,800. Just that, I mean, it's like a high to me. I mean, it's an adrenaline rush. Just going out and not knowing how much money you're going to make. I mean, to me, I tell everybody this is the best job in the world, and I know it sounds crazy, but if I hit the lottery tomorrow and I was filthy rich, I would still do this job. I wouldn't care as much, and some of the deadbeats that just waste your time. I mean, I would probably give them a piece of my mind a lot more often, but I would still do this job because, I mean, I absolutely love it. I mean, every bit of it I love.
Cool. So, in closing, Ben, I just wanted to tell you again, I appreciate your time. I know a lot of people probably going to listen to this and get a lot out of it. And if you could you mention your website, your contact information again, and maybe any closing thoughts you have?
Definitely. The website is finalexpenseservices.com. My cell number is 601-938-7663. You can call that. You can text it, whatever. You can send me an email at ben@finalexpenseservices.com. Or, of course, you can go to the website and put your contact information in, and we'll send it to me. And, I mean, as far as closing thoughts, I mean, a lot of people fail at this business because they get in it because it's a get-rich, quick scheme, they think. It's really not. But, I mean, it's definitely a very, very profitable business. I mean, I would not do anything else. Me and my family, I mean, if we wanted to go on vacation tomorrow, we can go. I don't have to call anybody and ask. I don't have to get permission. I don't have to request time off. But I say that because a lot of the things I said in this call was about setting your business up right and being responsible and putting your money aside. You have to, you can't go out and make $5,000 and you got $5,000 in your bank account and you go out and have a $4,000 good weekend time on vacation. I'm able to go on vacation when I want and not have to call anybody, which y'all wouldn't either. I mean, we're independent. You can go wherever you want, when you want. But throughout the years, I mean, I'm 29 now. I've been doing this 7 years, and so throughout the years, I've been smart with money, and I build it up and pay myself accordingly to where I'm not out wasting my money, So why I say that is you need to set goals. Me and you talked about it before, Matt. Whenever I'm out of town, I would tell my son, if I hit $5,000 this week, when I get home, I'm going to rent one of them rental big blow-up slides. Costs like $200 for the weekend. I'm going to rent one of those for the house. But, look, if I hit $7,500, I'm going to rent the slide and a jumpy house, or the slide and we're going to, run down to the beach one night deep sea fishing. So it's all about setting goals and setting it up in your business to pay yourself. You can't just go out there and say, man, I got $5,000 in the bank. I'm going to take off a few weeks. That's great because those few weeks are going to turn into a few months, into a few years, and then, like I said earlier, I'll see you at Walmart when I go in there greeting people when I walk in.
Right.
You have to be smart with your money. You have to set goals and expectations, and you have to work as hard as you got to do to hit them, no matter what.
All right. Well, that's good. That's awesome advice, Ben. And as we wind down, again, I want to tell you I appreciate your time today. Like I said, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be listening to this. I'm sure they're going to be giving you a call, sending you an email. So I apologize ahead of time if
That's fine. But look, I appreciate you putting these things on. This is very helpful for new agents, definitely, I believe, and some experienced agents.
Exactly. Yeah, I learn every day too. So it's good stuff. All right, Ben. Well, I'm going to close it down. And again, I'm going to give out your website again. It's finalexpenseservices.com. Again, finalexpenseservices.com, and that would be Ben Boman. And, Ben, I'm going to wind this down. And, again, I appreciate your time, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.